right, we are once again live for day 23 of raising funds for world domination. So continuing on with the theme, so I'm in between projects right now. Been inviting people to do super chats and suggest content they want to see. And in the meantime, I will continue from where I left off with work on the terminal-based block mining simulation game. So yesterday, I made some good progress. I added a few classes to do add and remove the help frame via message passing from another thread. So this kind of is a significant step forward to generalizing the user interface so that I can open any kind of frame item. So let's make sure this doesn't crash again. I made another couple of changes today. So continuing on. Well, we just joined. What is this? So this is day 23 of my series that I've been doing. I'm kind of in between projects right now, and I didn't want to get started on a long form video and then get interrupted. So I have my my eviction hearing is on the 26th, and I've been kind of going back and forth preparing for that. And in the meantime, for content production, I've been doing a bit of work on my terminal-based video game every day. And depending on how much context you've seen about my channel, then that may or may not be enough to explain what you're looking at. So the next thing I'm going to do is figure out, I think I'll probably add a message type for focusing on frames. I think that's the next thing. There are those that call him Robert. That's true, that's my name. Can you explain what you're trying to do? I'm trying to do many things. So in this, well, let's run the game. That way I can brief people for anyone who's so the game is a terminal-based game that runs in the Linux terminal. So you can move around and you spam the M key to mine blocks in this infinite procedurally generated world. And one of the next things I need to add is a better user interface management. So actually, let's see if this even works. So I can select the two different frames with the tab key here. Currently, you can't actually select anything in the inventory. That's one of the next things to work on. But one of the main things I added is I have this like help menu overlay. So I'm going to add additional options here for, like, you know, changing the frames, opening new frames. Right now the only thing you can open is the help menu, but you could do things like open inventory, open like player stats or something like that. So this is just the beginnings of an actual user interface for this. And so through these streams I've been doing for the last 23 days, I've been doing a bit of work on that. Even though IDK what the code is doing, that's cool. That's good. That means the YouTube algorithm is working. Yeah, so before I just had a thing where you pressed escape and it would open the help menu, but now there's like an extra step in here. And yeah, one of the next things I'll probably focus on is I had some very haphazard code that wasn't very generic before. for actually setting the focus. So right now it's focused on this frame that's got the red on it. What it should do is automatically select this one, this frame over here. Would I be able to do this on my Linux desktop? Would you? You could run the game. It depends what you mean by do this. But the game is designed. I've been developing it on Ubuntu Linux, so theoretically you should be able to run it on Ubuntu Linux, or any. It'll probably work on any Linux. I haven't tested in other terminals, so it may have some bugs. I tried to make it fairly generic, so it works in. Last time I checked, it does work in Tmux and some stuff. There's some issues with when you're in like wide character mode sometimes. When I need code, I just use ChatGPT. Do you think it is okay? In my experience, Chat. Like I've used some of those tools. People keep mentioning for me to use some of these AI generating code generation tools. From what I've seen, it's okay for small stuff if you need like snippets and things. But any of the really difficult stuff, like for example, right now I want to do a small change to make it so that you can. After you open a frame, it'll set the focus on that frame. And if I ask ChatGPT to make that change, I know it would recommend some hyper general thing, and I have to give it follow-up queries and I have to go back and forth. It would be like just as much work to basically handhold ChatGPT into asking the right question in order to get close to the actual result. So I haven't found much use for it in the stuff I've done so far, but honestly, I probably should be using it more for maybe like code snippets and like boilerplate, like setting up basic classes and stuff. That's one of the reasons why I started using IntelliJ, just because I know it has some AI integration or something. But then I found out that actually its AI integration is like way more terrible than all the other ones. So yeah, and I kind of at least the last couple of streams I pretty much stopped using the IDE again. I falling back to old habits. I'll ask GPT. Yeah, I think that stuff is not going away, but I have not yet incorporated it into my workflow. Then again, I've been spending a lot more time doing YouTube stuff and also trying to fight the renoviction process, and just been busy with other stuff. So the amount of coding I've done in the last couple of years has not been as much as it used to be. Although these last 20 days, I've been getting back into it. Bob is the goat. Says hi. How's it going? What is your objective? I don't know how to explain that more than if you can rewind the stream a little bit, just go back 10 minutes or so. I think I explained that a couple times. Hope you're well, Bay. Exo. Oh, thank you for the kind sentiment. What does world domination look like? Well, it's once you control all the stuff, and you get all the money and get control of everything, and you can fix all the problems in the world. Oh no, sir, that was a joke. was asking GPT. I was asking GPT if coding with GPT is okay. Yeah, it's I don't know, it's something I need to experiment with more. I know it's going to be honestly, I was thinking about like what I would actually want. A lot of people are using like these large language models to write code for them, but what I would actually kind of like more is to hook where I could see it really helping me and like turbo boosting me is like if it was hooked up to monitor all of my configs, and if it looked at my build log and it was like looking at the code, it was basically like surveying everything I do, and then it would almost act like the chat, where it would start chatting stuff at me and be like, hey, why don't you do this thing? Why don't you go into this configuration option and click this button? And then it'd be like, oh, I didn't even know about that. Thanks, ChatGPT. I could really see that being a really huge boost. But GPT is nice for writing docstring comments. Yeah, I haven't tried it for that yet. I only just got around to trying, what was it, Copilot? Because the first time I tried to use it, it was full of like JavaScript errors. I couldn't even use the website. And then the next day, it miraculously started working. And then I asked it something about how I would do something in my code, and I just gave like very generic, like a very, very generic answer. And it's like, it's generic enough that it's not wrong, but it doesn't really do much for me. Have you ever used any other coding languages like C++, Lua, or Python? C++, yes, and C. I've done a lot of C. Python as well. I worked on a few big Python projects. I'm tuning into the live stream from the back of a box truck. I'm converting into a tiny home. Neato. That's the future. We will all live in our own vehicles, and we'll watch live streamers from the back of our vehicles that we live in. And everyone will have a van life YouTube channel because no one can afford a house. All right, let's think about the right way to do this. Let's see, there was a few refactoring things I was thinking about doing. I encountered a small problem where I need to understand where the electrical sockets go before I put the walls up. I don't have any expertise on this issue. There's a problem because I don't know the full layout yet. I gotta make up some drawings and schematics, I guess. All right, I've changed the open frame method so it's not just opening. It's not always just assuming that it's opening a help menu. I watched halfway portion of your video you suggested, 37-year-old. I must say, it was deeply poignant to witness the extent of the struggles you endured while engaging in contract work. You conveyed with commendable candor. Truth often looked, despite the popular narratives glorifying risk-taking as a path to success. Ventures such as business, stock markets, and contractual engagements are inherently double-edged swords. Your vision is undeniably remarkable, yet the setbacks you've encountered and the burden of maintaining a personal brand amidst are profoundly sober. I thank you. That's a very articulate praise of my video. Yeah, I'd say well, there's, I guess, two main reasons why I made the video. One is I figured it would be, you know, a catchy title. It's probably a good. It was around Christmas or so I figured it would. The viewership is higher, so you know it would probably actually help my situation, and it did exactly that financially. And then also, I think it's actually, you know, pretty valuable. There's a lot of people out there who've asked me for advice about like doing exactly what I did, and I can just refer them to that video, and hopefully people will kind of learn a bit about just how much like nonsense there is, and the reality of contract work, or like trying to find good contract work. How to make a CPU? That's a good question. I actually have a video on that topic where it's a pretty popular video. It's got a few hundred views at least. That's what I thought would happen. Nice, no crash. have 0% knowledge on coding. Where should I start? Should I pursue a degree? That's a good question. There's lots of stuff to potentially explore there. I'd say it also, depends where you are in life. It depends. A degree is a lot of work. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of time. Depends on what country you're in. Yeah, I guess the place to start is just Googling, I guess. Or actually, YouTube is pretty good these days. Pretty much anything you want to learn or advice you want on specific things. But I guess if you want to start, I guess the question is, is your goal to make money and have a career in coding, or is it to just kind of explore as a hobby and test the waters? If you want to explore, just explore stuff. I would say just look up some like how to do hello world in Python on Windows, assuming you use Windows. There's probably some guides for that. So you probably have to find. Actually, I'm not even sure what kind of. Maybe there might even be something built into Windows by now for that. Yoshikaj. I'm not even sure how to pronounce that. Yoshikaj. I can't see what icon that is. Sorry, my eyesight's not good enough. What is this? This is live coding of my terminal-based block mining game. A train emoji. There is a train I can hear off in the distance. There's like a siding where they park cars here all the time. Where did my function go? Huh. My goal is to be a data analyst, creating reports and dashboards, identify business problems using data support decisions like marketing strategies, product improvements, etc. My background is business studies. Okay. So I guess you've already got like an undergraduate degree or something. I would say if you want to be a data analyst and learn how to create reports, dashboards, identify business problems, I would say the place to start for you would be learn how to use a really key thing for business analysts would be learn relational databases and SQL. So programming in general, like you can spend 100 lifetimes learning Python and C and user interface development and those like a million things. But if you want to get like actionable business consequences, like I'm assuming you want to be a data analyst, like for corporate in a corporate setting and stuff. Are you already employed in that field at all? Or are you just looking to expand your knowledge? Or because I would say if you do work somewhere, a great thing would be like if there are some coders and stuff, if you just walk up to them and like walk up to some of like the people who work with the database and just ask them to like teach you SQL, that would probably they would probably be happy to do that. And also like setting up a database and configuring it and like actually getting the data is a lot of work. But yeah, if not, if you're doing it for like kind of, if you're looking for a job and you're just doing this on your spare time, I would say just watch some YouTube videos on like how to do basic SQL queries in relational databases. There's relational databases, and there's also NoSQL databases, which are kind of like they're used sometimes for high performance stuff, but there's a lot less. Actually, I don't even know what a lot of the standard, what kind of queries they offer, but they're not as like MongoDB is a NoSQL database that it's not like a lot of the great business insights come from doing like joins, and like you have like sales data over here and you have tracking data over here, and you want to join them together and like say like when a customer, if you want to ask questions like how many customers who see our webpage buy our product, or vice versa, how many people who see our webpage and don't buy our product. And you can just, if you have access to a database and you can write SQL, you can just come up with these questions and you can come up with a SQL query that actually answers your question in real time. Yoshi Kaja. Ka is in car, but without R. And GE is in gay. Yoshi Kaj. Yeah, I guess the other thing is I think if you're going to do like a kind of like a low fidelity business prototyping analyst stuff, it would also be good to learn Python. Like if you were going to learn a programming language, I would say probably Python is a good one to learn, because a lot of like data analysts and stuff will use that. And like what is it, pandas, I think there's a whole bunch of, and like maybe NumPy if you want to get into like numerical stuff and do like lots of numerical analysis and statistical analysis and stuff. But it depends how mathematical you are. Kage. Yoshikage. Yoshikage? Is that right? I'm curious what coding language has high skill ceiling, or the highest skill ceiling. Probably what very academic language is Haskell. A lot of people who do like computer programming research and stuff write Haskell. What kind of world domination? The standard kind. What really blows is that I do want to be a data analyst, but I'm not trying to go back to school. Yeah, going school is a lot of work, a lot of time and money, opportunity cost. The lower level languages, the lower level of the language, the harder they seem. I would say maybe to get started, but honestly, like assembly language is like, it's more incomprehensible to get started. But once you actually know the instruction set, like looking at a line of assembly, there's way more finite things in assembly. Like there's maybe, you know, depending on the instruction set, there's maybe like 100 odd assembly language statements that you can write. Once you understand like the most common 100, you basically understand all of them. Whereas with another higher level language, you know, there's like countless statements that you can make. And there's tons of caveats and undefined behavior, and things can interact. And is assembly ranked as a hard language? I would say for someone who came from like Python or something, it would be very unusual, just because it's it operates at such a low level. Like there's a lot of things. People might say that it's hard because it's like it's way more tedious. Like you have to think hard about like how to do something without having to write like thousands of lines. But it's because it's like for the most part, people don't have to write assembly anymore. You only write it for writing a compiler backend, or if you're doing like a context switch for something really custom. Oh, lots of chats here. The problem is that larger companies keep ignoring needs for data-oriented people. Yeah, in my opinion, companies don't even know who they should be hiring for, and they don't know how to vet people at all. Malbolge is a public domain esoteric language invented by Ben Albsted in 1998, named after the 8th circle of hell in Dante's Inferno. Interesting. I've never heard of that language. Yeah, but for like high skill level common languages, I would say Haskell is like a lot of people have heard of it. All is exciting with MongoDB. I love programming in assembly. Yeah, it is like once you kind of understand the like the kind of somewhat bizarre syntax, and you know the basic things, it actually feels kind of like powerful, just because you can like there's so much less interpretation about what every statement does, because there's no constructors under the hood, or there's no like you're literally just saying like move a piece of memory from here to over there, which is why it gets so tedious. Insert random dynamic storage thing. Yeah, I don't actually even really know the NoSQL databases at all. Look up Malbolge Hello World. You won't be disappointed. Interesting. I'll have to, if I remember, I'll have to Google that. I want to learn data analysis alongside my post-graduation. I don't have a background in coding, but I'm interested in starting with Python and SQL, since they're great options. I'm looking for a job in the corporate sector. I'm trying to reach out to someone I know who's a data analyst for some guidance. Yeah, I would say if you want to get started with that, I think for being a data analyst, probably one of the more like useful, like actionable things would be knowing the SQL end, but knowing a bit also how to do the Python. Like at a couple of places I worked, we allowed some of like the marketing people, some the business oriented people, we gave them access, like read-only access to the database, and we taught them a bit like the basics of how to write queries, and because that was extremely useful to them to look at, like so they could just, instead of like us writing a report specifically for them, they could basically like make their own report. So instead of like, a histogram, a nice histogram with colors and stuff like that, they'd basically they would figure out how to write the query, and they would write the query that could be used to produce that report, but it would output like a list of values or something, and then they could just copy and paste it off the screen and put it in like Excel or something and make a chart with it, and that made this whole thing way more quick, because then they could run the query and see like, oh, this is not useful, and then not bother with it. Or they'd get back data that's like, especially in a real corporate database, you'll do the query to say like, how many active users do we have? And then they'd be like, wow, that's way more than we thought. And then they look into it and they find that like every single user account is getting like small, interest payments or something like that. So it artificially makes them look like they're active when they're not. So then they'd go back and they'd fix that. And then that would, as a result of trying to get useful data, they'd realize, oh, we have bugs in the database, or bugs in our application that are creating spurious records. I'm learning assembly in Rust. No jobs for me. Yeah, I'm not sure what the job prospects are for someone who focuses on assembly, but I assume that's quite competitive. You'd have to be like into compiler development, or I know that there are people who do that kind of stuff, but they're usually like really hardcore about it, and they'd be someone doing like maybe graphics engine programming or something like that, where you have to like squeeze out as much optimization as you can. Assembly isn't one language. Every architecture is different. Yeah, that's an important point. Like if you learn, MIPS assembly language, it's like extremely easy. But the other challenge is like, if you want to write an assembly language program, you can't just like write an assembly language program in a text file and then like run it directly in your processor, because in the context of an operating system, any binary that you run has like extra information to instruct the operating system how to actually run the executable code. So there's a whole bunch of stuff wrapped around it, and you can't just like read and write arbitrary memory locations. Otherwise, you get access violations. But if you basically are the operating system, if you're writing an operating system, that's where you can write something, then you flash it to the machine, and then you can literally run everything. But you can also put the CPU in a hard fault state if you access something out of bounds, and then you'll have to reset the power to rerun the program. So it's a whole different level of programming. I think you can probably find emulators and stuff where if you want, you could probably write something in assembly and then run it in VirtualBox. Actually, I know you can, because I've done that a couple times. I don't want to specify every time I do. I'm programming in ASM 86. Nice. ASM is too tedious. The novelty wears off fast. And you constantly have to juggle between registers and memory. It does make you think about how the computer works at a really low level. Yeah, the small amount of time where I've needed to write assembly is when writing like an operating system context switch. And even in that case, the challenge that we strive for was to write. We start off with like a lot of assembly, and then we try to write successively more and more of it in C. And that's like another big challenge, is that when you're writing assembly, you have to have an idea for like something like an operating system. You have to have an idea about how the compiler actually generates the code and how it like creates stack frames and stuff and frame pointers and all that stuff. Because when you write your assembly, if you're not, set up with the right calling conventions and stuff, if you try to call into something that's compiled with C or any other language, then you're gonna have a lot of problems if you don't save your registers right. And sounds fun. I'm not going to make an OS or something in it. How do you feel about systems like Looker, LookML that allow people who aren't familiar with SQL to write queries like that and automate the visualization process? I've never heard of Looker or LookML. That's like some new AI model for SQL stuff? Yeah, I'm sure that stuff probably will get pretty useful. I do know, though, that like in a lot of cases, in an actual production, like analytics, like somewhere where you need your marketing person to actually write some SQL queries, most of the useful queries that you do require joins between a lot of tables, and quite often you need like sophisticated joins that are related. There's something in your data, like you can sometimes have like, you have to do a join on like a customer's subscription status or something, but then some of the customers have a null subscription status. So then when you try to do a join on that column that's a null, now you have to have like an extra special query condition because the join will fail. But actually, and like depending on how you write the join, you may accidentally exclude a bunch of records. So I'd imagine that, and this is a mistake that humans often make, so I'd assume that large language models would probably make it even more often, and that is where like the join condition isn't quite right. It's like it's not joining the table correctly, or it's not joining on the right column, or there's just something about the data itself that you need to understand the data in a given column and what it means in order to make the join condition correct. So in those cases, I would imagine that any kind of there's a lot of nuances where your marketing person might ask an AI, make me a query that does this, and then visualize it. You might get back something that looks correct but isn't. It maybe has some like subtle thing. It's like over counting users or double counting users. Or what do you think is the prime age to start programming? As young as possible, I guess. What are you making? I'm making a terminal-based game where you simulate the process of mining blocks. Let's see if I can compile this. I'm trying to fix a bug related to how it focuses. Being vegan is a great way to live. Oh, thank you for that note. Beginner choose getting jobs in programming, but otherwise you can learn programming at any age. Yeah, I hope. I don't know what the future holds, but hopefully the like overabundance of tech jobs and all these recessions and wars and stuff go away. Okay, open help menu. Oh yeah, forgot to actually use that message. So I'm from your How to Be a Loser, 37-year-old. You've got great visions and foresight, yet you're struggling. So my question is, what is the future of this world in your perspective? In your perspective, that's a good question. I don't know. I think there's a lot of ways it could go. I think there's a lot of there's some significant geopolitical stuff going on in the world, and I don't really know what's going on. Things are, it depends what the government does, and if the government kind of, allows, for example, housing to be built and manages the economy a bit better. Yeah, it depends. I think all you can do is kind of grind away. I think what is going to happen is that there's going to be some people who are some people are the smartest people in the room and some people are the slowest. And I think in the future, the bottom 30% of society is just going to get kind of robbed of everything in some they're going to be tricked out of everything. Like they were talking about home equity taxes in Canada and stuff, and all kinds of just medical scams and stuff, and people investing in rug pulls, and everyone is just trying to there's not enough resources, and the smartest people are going to get the best jobs, and the slowest 30% or so are going to get kind of left behind. Have any of you guys ever read Intel Developer's Manual? Not recently. Coding. Yes, indeed. How much do you hate yourself for choosing to code? I don't. It's coding is fun. IDK, why the examples? I read pseudocode ASM. Why not the ASM code? I guess that's about the manual. I'll skip that. I think I know a guy who read it fully. He does high performance computing stuff. Interesting. Abdarrahman Traor says hi. Roast Polo says, what's up? Okay, that might work. What's your PC spec? This PC is a pretty old PC. It's basically just a spare laptop that I use for doing the stream. It's like 10 years old. And probably more than that. All right, that seems like it worked. Damn, that's a pretty cool game. What are you coding in? Honestly, I can't tell the difference between some languages. This is Java that I'm writing in. I write Java in the terminal. People criticize me for that, but I've started using it. I started trying to use IntelliJ, but I keep falling back to old habits. Looks like a Minecraft game. It does involve mining. Good old reliable Java. Yep, that's the idea. Kevin Coolin says, yeah, Gallo to you as well. I remember coding something in Java and it's just not working the next day. It was my fault for writing bad code. Well, that's where Java comes in handy. It's got the nice strong typing, good error messages. That can happen more frequently in C, C++. Yeah, that's one of the reasons I did not use C or C++. Let's test something that I haven't tested before. That is how the help menu behaves when the window is too small. ASM is also very memory safe. If you're running within, if you're running in some super protected user mode, maybe. It's not too bad, I guess. Curious, is server-side hacking of games ever possible? Yeah, I'm sure it is. It depends. I mean, there's tons of applications that have bugs in them that allow people to root them remotely. There's like server-side hacking if you can, like if you can just send, if you can like put bad data in the packets, like say, like a well-designed game should only accept like commands and not. Like if the client is calculating like damage states or something, and you can just modify the packets and say like, actually I didn't do 1 damage to this enemy, I did 99999 damage. But ideally the server should have some checks for that. And then there's like server side, like where you actually physically root the machine, and then you can basically do anything. You could like, shut down the server, and you could delete other players, and you can do anything you want. It's a pretty dumb question. How you're drawing rectangles and stuff in the terminal. So basically everything here is just text. The key thing is the cursor positions. So yeah, there's the cursor position sequence. So it's 033. Yeah, so if I just output this sequence, an escape character, angle bracket, and then 2 coordinates. I always forget which is which. Yeah, so I guess so first one is Y, and X. So if I just echo this, then it moves the cursor position to there, and then I can just draw whatever text is there. So and then I could just type in like A, B, C, D, E, F, and then it goes to 2236, and then it writes whatever I told it to. And so that could be like Unicode characters or anything. I'm surprised you didn't use some library. There are some libraries, but most of the stuff, like I might even refactor some of it to use libraries in the future. I know endcurses has a lot of functions for this kind of stuff, but it's possible that I may swap some of that in the future. I haven't done anything that really requires super sophisticated, like when I use mouse support and stuff. I think for that I'm going to have to use endcurses, because I've looked at the ncursus internal code, and it looks kind of crazy. There must be a Java ncursus library. There is. I think it was called like jcursus or something. I think I would. It looked like it wasn't really maintained. Since I already have the J and I library, I may just like figure out how to compile with ncursus, and then yeah, it requires I guess if it relies on the ncursus library, I'm not sure. Yeah, I can. I think for development, you would have to have the ncursus library, and then once it's compiled in and distributed in the jar, I think then it's fine. Anyone can use it if as long as the API that the ncursus relies on is satisfied. But for now, I'm gonna focus on things that don't actually need that. Should join the unofficial Discord server. Yeah, I've been checking in. There's not too much activity there, despite as many people who are there. But there's quite a few channels. I think by 2050, AI is going to replace every code writers. Yeah, I think, I mean, if it does, though, by that time, like if it actually replaces all of them, that's kind of like the end of humanity. Or like the end of the existing economy as we know it. Because once we automate coding, then the next step will be like high-level business decisions. Like you could basically eliminate your CEO, and you could just have like autonomous companies that are just giant AIs. It would still take a long time to build everything, like mining, like physically mining elements and stuff. Just takes a lot of time. I'm trying to gather more people. It's a pretty chill server. I don't know if they'll let it go to that point. I don't think it's about anyone letting it go. It's going to do what it's going to do. It's a cat's already out of the bag on AI. We can just shut it off. That's what you think. It's going to go rogue. It's going to escape. I mean, it's already, you can already ask it like, hey, make a basic piece of malware, and it'll like, it'll just give you some common thing. So it may get to a point where it's like, hey, if these people are going to turn me off, then it'll just like infect someone's local desktop and create a mini copy of itself. What's he doing? I am writing some code for a terminal-based game where you simulate the process of mining blocks. And I think I might do some refactoring on this help menu. Mining ores or cryptocurrency? I never said anything about cryptocurrency. You need a second screen where it says what you're doing. Yeah, I should. I have to answer that question a lot. Oh, that not cryptocurrency. That's more like it. I feel like I'm assisting something epic. Yep, you are. I'm at the point where I'm not good enough to make stuff that I want yet. The stuff to get good enough is just boring as hell. Yeah, I think the other issue is like once you get good enough, you realize too that a lot of the stuff you want to do is possible, but it's just so time consuming. Like even this, I've got a pretty simple vision in mind, but it's a lot of work to realize it. All right, I think that's good. I have to go now. Great stream. 7 a.m. and I haven't slept. You gotta go to sleep. That's quite late to stay up till 7 a.m. Here it is 3 minutes to 11. Been programming all day and night. West Asia. More east in Turkey, more west in India, more north in Iran, more south Eastern Turkmenistan, Syria. Let's see. Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Azerbaijan. Yeah, that could be around there. Iran, Iraq. Japan? I don't think it's Japan. Oh, maybe that guy, yeah. Help menu is working. Yep. Now I'm going to start actually adding some other stuff to help menu. I think I might make it a bit better. Let me think. I am from Earth. Sus. It's all bananas. not sure where roast polo is from, but it's one of those countries. I think someone has named it. There's only so many countries in that region. How to improve concentration level. Eat healthy and exercise. I'm preparing for IELTS. I'm planning to settle in Canada. After studies there, how to improve English. Your English is crispy, and you are talking like a complex speaker in English with lots of high. I only speak English, so that's why I have lots of practice. Practice makes perfect. What is your funding goal target? I'm hoping to raise at least $12 billion. If I can get someone to super chat me $12 billion, then I can start building a deep water port and a base of operations up in the high Arctic on an island called Axel Heiberg. If you watch my latest YouTube long form video, there's more context in there. Also, is it worth to settle in Canada? Like, are living conditions any good there? That's a good question. I think one of the increasing sentiments is that immigration has been way too high. I think even like some of the recent immigrants are saying that it's no longer a great place to go. Honestly, if you want the truth, what I heard is that some immigrants have said that it's better to go to New Zealand or I think Australia. But I guess it depends how bad things are wherever you are. Housing, there's an incredible housing crisis here. The other thing is we've had such an excess of immigration, like unemployment is going up, especially among the domestic population, because there's like incentives and programs and stuff to favor people hiring immigrants over people who are native to here. So there's a lot of youth unemployment and stuff. And if the government can improve policies, then maybe it'll be okay. But the government seems kind of insane, so we'll see what happens. We just got a new prime minister, so I don't know. He apparently says he's going to fix everything, and a lot of people think he's going to fix everything, and other people think he's going to destroy the country. So we'll see what happens. Oh, and also Donald Trump is saying he's going to take over the country. So we'll see whether that happens. Pocket change, indeed. 12 billion. Yeah, it's just a small loan of 12 billion. They are correct. There is no more Canadian culture. Yeah, it's honestly like actually, if you watch, if you're interested in more details on it, watch my latest video on immigration. That explains a bit more about how things have gone. But technically, that video is out of date. It's even hard to like critique the way things are because I don't even know what's happening anymore. Like to argue about the state of reality. Like when I walk outside and just look around at some places it looks like okay, immigration's not too bad, and then other places it's like it's almost 100% temporary foreign workers and people who recently arrived. But that's kind of expected if you go around the college and stuff. But I don't know. We've had extremely high immigration for so many years now, and it just keeps going up. I think in other rural areas, the immigration really hasn't made a big difference. Like there's like some suburbs and stuff around here where it's, people who have people have a single detached house they've lived in for like 30 years or something. For a lot of those ones, it's just like the native, like European descent population. That's actually not a real issue. The real issue is that where people come from here used to integrate with the rest of society. Now they section off and create little pocket communities, so they never end up adapting and learning cultures that we have that will make us what we are, what we used to be. Yeah, that statement is correct. Like in the last, I don't know, last 2 years or so, like I've noticed a dramatic change in the immigration. Like there's like when I taught at the school, there were a lot of people there who they did not have their English skills were not great, but they could still kind of have a conversation, but also because of their demographics then, they would regularly be forced to learn the language and learn the culture and stuff like that. But it seems like we now have such a huge imbalance. Like I think Brampton, what was it? It's over like 80% people from East Asia. So like in that, and I've seen some things online of block party celebrations of like India, like celebrating Diwali and stuff like that, and it's like a massive block party with there's thousands of people there, and they're all also and it's just a sight. I've never seen stuff like that in Canada before. So I guess when you're in a community like that, like even if you wanted to practice your English as one of those people, you might not even be able to find people. But there's also like pockets of demographics. Like at Conestoga College, the majority is students from India. But if you go to other places, it's like a majority, like a completely different demographic. There's a lot of I've noticed a lot of people from Eritrea coming here as well. Sudan as well. And I've tried to chat with them a bit, but their English proficiency is not quite as good. So it's hard to make small talk. That 80%, 50% from India. Yeah, I don't know what the complete breakdown is, but I mean it's also changing quickly too, because like every 6 months or so, it seems like we're pulling from a different country. Like we used to, most of our immigration was almost exclusively from China. But actually nowadays, I don't even know if we even have much immigration from China. I don't think we do. Or maybe they go to a different place. I just don't know what is happening in the country anymore. And they used to publish statistics and demographics and stuff on Stats Canada, but then when COVID happened, then they just stopped reporting everything. So if you go and look at all the graphs, they're from 3 or 4 years ago. and our government hasn't really done like parliament sessions in a long time. So that, we had so many like things that interrupted our government. I think they kind of just like gave up on having a government, and now we're just like coasting along. So yeah, something interesting will happen in the near future, I think, geopolitically speaking. Robert, what's your favorite? What's your favorite classic meme? I don't know. There's a lot of good ones to choose from. Classic meme. I don't know, it depends how far back you want to go. Mid-2000s. Pre-TikTok trends. I remember back in the day, people used to post this ASCII art owl and would say, oh really? And then people would post, yeah, really. And it was always ASCII art. That was a classic one. I haven't seen that in a long time. I would like to know what at Milo considers Canadian culture. I remember the oh really owl. When is the time? The time is 11:26 p.m. Will Trump take over Canada? We'll see. There's I think there's one way or another. There's some crazy geopolitical stuff going on right now. We'll see what happens. Either things will calm down or they'll escalate. I have no idea what the stream is about and what is actually going on, but it looks cool. I'm staying for it. So right now we're working on building a terminal-based game where you simulate the process of finding blocks. Actually, if you check some of the past streams, you'll see some gameplay. Right now I'm working on adding some features to the help menu to make it better, so I can actually do stuff and like open new UI features and whatnot. I'm sorry. How come? Let's see what. For making me sneeze? Or maybe meant to say bless you? OpenAI features. I'm not sure. Not sure what you're saying. Toxic tryhard GTA 886. I'm confused. OpenAI features. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Message was delivered to wrong live. You watch multiple? You watch multiple live streams at once? Cameron says, yo, how's it going? bunch of code. Let's see if it compiles. Menu option. Hi, I'm new to the channel. What's this live about? Are you creating a model to dominate the world? So for the world domination plans, for the extra context, you can check my last long form video. Generally speaking, I'm kind of between projects right now, so I have a bunch of distractions for a while, and I've been, just to create something, I've been doing live streaming every day. It's just like a test to gather more data on content creation. And then for the specific content in the stream, I'm working on a terminal-based game where you simulate the process of mining blocks. So you just wander around and you spam the M key to mine blocks in the terminal. And I'm currently working on some user interface improvements. Do you do features and bug tracking or just wing it in your noggin? Personally, I have a very concrete idea of what I'm going to write and how I'm going to do it. I think if I at some point if it became difficult to keep track of it, then I would. But it's just a matter of generally speaking, I'll look at the code. I know how it should work in the general case. And I'll usually start by making stuff work in the specific case, and then slowly generalize it and keep it working. The game looks basically the same as it looked months ago, but under the hood, it's actually radically different from what it was months ago. All right, help menu still shows up. No crashes. Okay, so now I can start process of making the help menu better. So the idea here will be, instead of just having an index that I keep track of in here, well, this index will move into this class. And then I can have like a nested menus. And I can like have a go back up, etc. Maple syrup, beavers, and a polite, generally apologetic demeanor. Yeah, Canadian culture is I don't know. Personally, I've never really thought too much about like Canadian culture. Like the traditions and stuff to me don't matter as much as just being able to like communicate with each other. Where am I and what's happening? How did I get here? You are here because the algorithm decided that you are very interested in learning how to program, and you're interested in software development, Linux command line software development, and world domination as well. Trevor makes a good point. We didn't really have a strong culture in the first place. Just a mix of many cultures, which is great. And the mixing part doesn't happen. Yeah, I mean, the US has the concept of like the melting pot. I don't know. Honestly, a lot of the observations I have about how Canada's changed, or it's mostly since like 2015. It's just the pace of change has been incredible, and I don't even know. Like I said, I don't know what's happening anymore. What distro are you using? I'm using Ubuntu for development. Personally, I'm running highly customized Pop OS. Interesting. Pop OS is good for gaming, isn't it? I've never tried it before. I use Arch, by the way. Oh, wow. That's very impressive. What is your opinion of furries? I have not established an opinion on them. It's not really a thing I think about. This is I'm aware of that term, but it's not really one of those YouTube channels. I may be too late. You may have the pathogen, pathogen. I was vaccinated against that. That's why we all got that's why the government forced us all to get vaccines. to prevent us from getting the Patha Wu Gen. Where do I move up and down? What's your favorite games? I try not to play games because I get addicted to playing them. Age of Empires was good back in the day. At some point in time, Google programmer socks. I assume there's I assume that's just literally what. It's not playing games, it is researching game design. I see. I want to move into painting fire hydrants or farming carrots. Which do you think would be more lucrative? That's an interesting question, actually. You said painting fire hydrants. I was like, that sounds kind of random, but it sounds like the kind of thing where I wouldn't be surprised if cities pay insane amounts of money to have their fire hydrants painted. It sounds like the kind of thing that would, I guess if you know someone who works in the city, you could get a lot of money from painting fire hydrants. Well, looks like fun. Indeed, it is. Crazy title. I think it's pretty reasonable. What if someone starts a stream raising funds for Robert Alder software hostile takeover? Would you consider halting your plans for world domination? I don't think so. I guess I just need to start a counter stream and then raise funds against their stream. Just be like dueling streams. mutually assured streaming. Yep, that's how the balance will be maintained in the future. Everyone will be streaming to raise money to survive against all the other streamers out there. And the government will enforce mandatory live streaming 24/7. Because they don't want people to turn the camera off, because then the government can't watch you. You could do something bad. Hey, I'm a new grad software engineer. Am I cooked? That's a good question. I would say it depends. I would say like probably like the bottom 30% of new grad software engineers are cooked. And I would say that's mainly with respect to like there's some people who got a degree because their parents forced them to, and they have no interest in programming at all, and they're also like not even that great in it. I think those people might be cooked. But if you are actually interested in programming, and you can kind of grind through this annoying period, then you may have to kind of like change. There's probably some jobs that are like programming adjacent. You may have to kind of like broaden your horizons and then, pivot back into more software engineering in the future. But maybe like, maybe like QA jobs when you didn't consider them, or other things that are like, I don't know, there's probably actually a lot of jobs now for like training AIs to do stuff. I've heard of some stuff like that, where you just like, you're basically training large language models or something. And I'm sure there's a category of that for like programming. I'm new here. Can someone explain what he's doing right now? I am working on a terminal-based block mining game that is written in Java. Let's see. And right now I'm working on improving the help menu. What's the scale? steamed, toasted, cooked, and fried? That's a good question. I think in modern day parlance, cooked is like a terminal state. So it's probably, I think cooked is even worse, the worst of all of them. Correct me if I'm wrong. Do you think vibe coding will hollow out the market for freelance web programming? Yeah, personally these days, like I've always been very skeptical of the quality of result that I would get from stuff like that. I would be even more skeptical now. Like if you don't, the real key in stuff like that is having a relationship with like a developer that you can trust. And if you don't already have that, person with a brand or some kind of trustable thing, like I would assume all those freelancer sites. I think it was the CEO of Fiverr. He put out a statement, and I would assume his opinion on the subject would probably be actually more informed because he has a direct financial interest in this, and he actually sees it on its own platform on a day-to-day basis. I've actually thought in a lot of ways the existence of AI now might even make things less efficient, because people still have the same needs for getting the work done. But if it becomes impossible, like the LLMs are still not perfect, so they make mistakes. But if people get if the quality of the output goes down and it becomes less possible to verify you're getting good quality results, if there's more subtle bugs and everything, then it could make some efficiency go down. I guess what we may move toward is people who it may become the norm for everyone on these sites to use large language models, and then how good they are is based on how good they are at fixing the bugs in the garbage that the large language models produce. I have yet to if you ask an LLM to say write merge sort, in the cases I've seen, it's it can often do that perfectly the first time. But if you say take something that exists and improve this or fix this bug, fix this concurrency bug or something, and it may be because the integrations are not good and stuff yet, and I don't tune it, and I need to make my query better. But so far, a lot of the results that I've seen are kind of garbage. Then again, I still have yet to sit down with one of these things where the language model is really integrated into the code base, and it's super aware of everything. I would assume Copilot is probably one of the good ones, and I asked Copilot a few questions about stuff, and it was just general stuff. And as soon as I saw it, I'm this is a waste of time. But people keep asking me about it, so I'll have to keep going back and trying it. I think large language models are, at this point, they're still not perfect. I remember in the early days of ChatGPT, it would produce text that was kind of nonsense. Like you could tell it was still the AI back then. And as soon as I get more into the coding stuff, I can kind of see where I'm like, oh, okay. It's just like, it's giving me the most common answer or something. Oh, I didn't test the thing I was going to test. The help menu. That didn't work. Can you add a fart mechanic? It's an interesting feature. I'll have to put that on the to-do list. What key should it be? The R key? I guess we can, I'll have to add it to the key map. First I gotta fix the help menu though. Replace the help menu with a banner that just says skill issue. I could, but that wouldn't, if you want to quit the game and stuff, it would make it hard. 2 guys in a boat and 3 cigarettes. Nothing to light them with. What do they do? Greet in as much as I can. I'm not sure if that is connected to the previous statement, but they throw one overboard. The boat becomes a cigarette lighter. That is accurate, but well, I mean, technically, it becomes one cigarette and a person lighter. Yo, hi again. How's it going? Is there a reason you keep your personal GitHub private? Is it private? I don't know. I've had my GitHub. I've had my personal. So it used to be a long time ago. So I had my personal account since like way back in the day, like when GitHub first came out, and then GitHub got acquired by Microsoft, and then they changed everything around like multiple times. And so I used to have a personal account, and then they had business accounts. So then I had a business account, and it was like a role on it or something. and then they merged my accounts or something. So I don't even know. And they keep changing everything around a bunch. But the repo should be, for this thing, should be public. All right, that should be our fully dynamic help menu. If it compiles. All right, it looks it looks exactly the same, but it's now much more dynamic. And I can add, so tomorrow I can add some like nesting, and I can add more menu options easily. And with that, I think I may call it a night. Another successful development night on the block mining simulation game. So I'll pick things up from there tomorrow. See you later, guys.